Now, there's a new report out from the Department of Defense that shows how much money that we've ended up paying in our endless wars. Now, according to the new Cost of War report from the Department of Defense, American taxpayers have spent at least $1.46 trillion on wars abroad since 2001, since September 11th. Now, can you imagine how much money that is? That is $1.4 trillion. Trillion. On just war. On just war. Okay. There are other things that are not actually added in here, and I'll get to that. But first, here's what the cost of, here's what costs the most money, and they kind of break it down. The Afghanistan War from 2001 to 2014 and the Iraq War from 2003 to 2011 account for $1.3 trillion of that. The continuing presence in Afghanistan and anti-aerial ISIS operations in Iraq and Syria since 2014 have cost a combined $120 billion. So $1.3 trillion on just Iraq and Afghanistan. So those are George W. Bush's wars, right? Now, to be fair, they were continued by President Obama. So yes, of course he bears some of that cost. He was the one that continued that conflict and actually wanted to stay in Afghanistan even longer, which is crazy. Now, of course, while Obama does get some of that credit, most of the lion's share of that cost ends up going to, like I said, George W. Bush and the Congress that, of course, gave him the power to declare that war. And then, of course, the $120 billion from all the anti-ISIS stuff, that's all on him. So that's all on President Obama there. But anyway, $1.46 trillion. Again, that's a lot of money, but that doesn't even account for the entire costs that we've incurred. The report costs only include direct war-related expenses, such as operating and maintaining bases, procuring equipment, and paying for and feeding troops. It also most notably does not include the expense of veterans' benefits for troops who serve in these wars or the intelligence community's expenses related to the global war on terror. Now, a 2011 paper from Harvard Kennedy School professor Linda Bilmes estimated the cost of veterans' benefits at $600 billion to $1 trillion over the next 40 years. The number was based on nearly 500,000 veterans who were receiving compensation for disability connected to service as of February 2011. Since then, the number of veterans receiving compensation for service-related disability have increased drastically. Now, look, I'm bringing that up, right? Not because I want to blame veterans. Of course not. Of course not. We do owe these people. They did sign a contract and they did serve. The government's part is to do what the government said they were going to do. Take care of their medical bills. Take care of them. Okay? And we should take care of them. I don't think anybody wants to argue about that. Okay? Especially if they have both physical and psychological scars from being sent off to war. That's not an easy thing. Why do you think I didn't join? That's not an easy thing at all. So, yes, we should take care of them, absolutely. But I do have a good idea on how to cut down on those costs. That doesn't affect benefits. How about we stop creating more veterans? We can stop creating more veterans by not going to wars. No more new wars in the Middle East or in Africa, is what they're actually looking at now. No more of that. Especially since a lot of these wars, as of recent, have only been ways to enrich our corporations. I don't believe in using warfare to enrich companies, to help somebody's bottom line. That's not what war should be about. It should be about, in the case of where you're actually defending yourself. And that would be the only reason that I would think to go to war. You might not agree with me, but again, I think self-defense, okay? Now, I talked about the defense, the corporations, right, that are getting money, and these are defense contractors. Now, interestingly enough, defense contractors who from 2001 to 2013 received $3.3 trillion in payments from the federal government. That's more than an entire year of funding the entire government. Damn. So we actually spend far more than what this report has actually said. And this report, 1.46 trillion, is a lot of money. It's already a lot of money. In fact, that's the equivalent of about $250 million a day. That's enough money to send millions of Americans to college with tuition paid for. That's enough money to pay for health care for every American. More than enough to pay for Bernie Sanders' health care plan. Okay? And yet, we're not doing any of that stuff. We're not working on infrastructure. We're not, trying to do things that will enrich the lives of Americans. We're not spending it on education. No, what we're doing is that we're bombing brown people, essentially, for no reason, and actually creating more enemies. That's what we did. We spent all this money, and we ended up creating ISIS. But you know what? Somebody made all that money. Somebody got rich off this. And that's probably the worst thing. And that's unfortunately, that's what happens when you make war into a business. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.